you a woman in medicine feeling overwhelmed and disconnected from the personal fulfillment that you desire? You're in the right place. Join Doctors Joanne and Aaron as they rewrite the rules for women in medicine. Let's begin.
In this episode, Joanne and I are interviewing Candice Van Dertholen. She is a holistic practitioner and certified Reiki master. She helps people navigate healing, especially during life transitions, by reconnecting the mind and spirit and body through grounded energy work. We are so excited to have you on the show, Candice. And one of the things I like to do is investigate our upcoming guests. And I actually got to share an energy healing session with you a couple days ago, and I can't wait to share that with our listener. To start off, I would love to find out from you why so many people, especially those who seem so strong on the outside, can struggle to rest or feel their emotions.
Yeah, well, thank you for the introduction and for the opportunity to be here. It's amazing. And, what I find is that when we're so geared towards action and we've only known how to produce and how to continue to perform and elevate, and it depends on the industry, your industry especially, you're always trying to measure up in the success ranks, right? And so when we're going, it's the energy that we're creating as we're doing this. And so stillness can feel actually uneasy. I mean, you take the pandemic, for example. That was a huge awakening moment where our energy was really disoriented because we had been so forward motioned. And so if you had never had moments of rest or periods of disconnection, it really kind of elevated that sense of, lack of security, lack of stability, and it shakes the foundation. So that's what I recognize.
You're speaking my language here. And like I joke that I have to concentrate to relax. And I say that's so sad. And I always say, like I have my healthy denials and being busy. And part of my work in the last years has been exactly what you said, and recognizing the rest, the sitting with the emotions and the stillness can be so important. And even though I'm a psychiatrist and I'm all into feeling the emotions, I can also find myself in this go and believing that that's the way to go. And I know so many of our listeners feel like that, and we've been kind of programmed that way. So it just thank you for starting the podcast, with such a strong message right away.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I want to share too, we are so used to in medicine doing for others. And I think we've talked about this before. When we are so busy doing, it can get in the way of our relationships, whether that's with our patients, whether that's with our children, our partners, because if we're always doing things, we're never just being fully present in the moment, just spending time and being still. And that can really put barriers on our relationships. And I find people get really uncomfortable with that, especially people I coach, even myself, just sitting and being and not doing something or multitasking. And so I would love to hear as we continue our conversation about how can we get better at doing that. I know for me, adopting the practice of meditation has helped. I don't know, Joanne, if you've done something that has helped you be able to be more in the moment.
Mine is, journaling is my superpower, is I believe.
Yeah. Well, and I think that to kind of go, piggyback of what you're saying is that, being in a role of service, it's easy to feel that there's always more to be done. I spoke with a social worker who felt this dual energy of, if I rest, then I'm not serving someone out there needs me. And so it becomes that complex understanding of when we rest, it's actually giving us the energy to serve at a higher capacity. And so it's almost that permission slip to pause so that we can show up a little bit better. Because that is a huge part of the flow process, and being able, rest is the easiest one that we forget about. We're really excited to do the things and have these completion markers, right? Like check the list off. But sometimes we just need that different perspective and that slower pace. It's that ability to then get up and even go faster whenever we have that rest. And then for me, running. I will say here recently, I've gotten back into running and I forgot how much you can go into that meditation state while being in motion. Sometimes you got to be really careful with this, right? But it's really a beautiful opportunity to get to give your body something to do while your mind is just kind of, allowing the thoughts to flow through. So
I love that. I think I do my most beautiful self-talk when I'm running. It's like interesting because I'm like there, oh my God, like what am I doing? I'm so tired. And then like just to motivate myself, like this is you showing up for yourself, you're 10xing, this is you giving yourself one more, you're doing great. Like I think I need that cheerleading, but then I've learned to then also connect with nature and literally just listen to the birds. And sometimes I just walk, right? It's not like I'm running all the time and have that same kind of the grounding part of it. Yeah, I love movement to connect as well.
Well, and that's something that I want to encourage is that some people really struggle with stillness in meditation. And so often I will tell people if you're struggling in regular meditation of just sitting, then try movement meditation and start with baby steps of just paying attention to your environment. Because we're making it a lot harder on ourselves to even get into that state because we're overthinking it and we're comparing ourselves. Like, why can't I sit in this meditation for an hour versus 5 minutes? So there's these other methods of getting there. And movement is one of those big ones because our bodies are so used to being in motion. It's easy to allow the mind to then, like you said, in the beginning, nobody I don't think wants to start their run, but midway through, you're like, oh my gosh, I've thought through like my whole to-do list and organized it. And like, so, but those are those little things that we can do. It's just to give ourselves almost just the permission to do it a different way.
I know with me, gardening, which was never a big thing for me. And my husband kept going, oh, I'll build you a garden box. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I started gardening and I found how therapeutic it can be and getting my hands dirty. I know we interviewed Tamberly, who's a PhD and is, our friend who I call the tree hugger. She was episode 97, really talking about the benefits of nature. So I tend to garden without my gloves on and get my nails dirty, but just that therapeutic planting things, weeding, trimming things back, being outside, listening to the birds, and also turning off sometimes a book on, an audible book or music or something, a podcast, sometimes just allowing that silence because we have so many distractors that we oftentimes aren't even spending time to get to know ourselves when we're focusing on everyone else or learning new things, that it's time we spend more time in quiet. And as you said, figure out what it is that mix that allows us to feel not comfortable, but okay with starting the practice and growing it from little baby steps.
I love that. And Candice, I have a question. And that's part of what we're talking about. And you gave some examples. But how do you help someone who's been suppressing their emotions begin to safely process what they've been carrying?
Yeah. So a lot of, and this kind of goes into how my practice is anyways, as a holistic practitioner. What I've seen in practice is so many people are first seeking these spiritual experiences to escape and not deal with. And while it's beautiful to live up here, we are still embodied here. And so a lot of my practice is guiding people inward to first feel safe within the body because of the past experiences. And so part of it is creating that safe space through the energy work itself, but then allowing people to almost have that crumbling moment in just the conversation to say, this is a safe space where you can open up. And being able, sometimes when people first get on the call, they are already in tears and they don't even know why. And I just explain, well, you haven't had that ability to open up in so long that your energy just felt it. It knew that you were safe to do this work. And, in my practice, I definitely ask them questions first to gauge where they're at, because everybody's gone through something in life. And so in order to be able to meet them where they're at, I do have to do a little bit of investigative work before just diving right in. And, it is about the acknowledgement that they don't have to do it all in one day. That is one of the biggest things that we tend to assume, is that we have to work through everything that we've ever gone through all in one setting, because it just gets it out of the way. And I like to give this comparison where it's like, well, we didn't experience life in one day. We experienced it in minutes, in seconds, hours, months, days, years. So we have to allow ourselves to process things in that manner too. Sometimes you'll move through things faster than others, but just recognizing that you are only going to be given what you're ready to walk through at any given moment in time. And so there's no, we don't have to force things to come out. It's more of like, what are you intuitively understanding that you need to work through so that you can even just start to shift a little bit.
I love that point about intuition. And Joanne and I have shared some on prior podcasts about, I think we get disconnected from our intuition, that gut feeling, something we feel in our heart. And I'm spending more time with Joanne, who I think has continued to hone in that practice. And the more I've hung out with her and been open to that, it's been amazing to see how when we pay attention to that gut intuition, it actually helps me make decisions more quickly and feel good about them and get behind them and not worry and fret, was that the right decision or not? And it's very freeing when I've learned to get more connected to, oh, what's my gut feeling telling me? And I wonder what would happen if more physicians, healers would spend at least as much time feeling that energy, what's going on with their gut, something isn't sitting right. And when we ignore it, that's when I'm like, ooh, that was the clue. I should have paid attention instead of being cognitive. I'm pointing to my temple here. The cognition, our cognitive brain is always in the driver's seat. And oftentimes I think we put those other parts of our knowledge in the back seat or maybe in the trunk and don't pay enough attention to them.
Absolutely. Well, you make a good point. Like, we are really trained to go based on the academic brain, and the ability to tap back into our intuition is something that takes practice, and it takes being aware that we need it. I think that we're coming into that now. We're coming into that awareness and understanding that when we follow our intuition and we do this from that, how do I want to say this? So once we learn how to tap into our intuition, we're not only building trust within ourselves. What I've often seen is we're building trust in the divine. So whatever you connect with, so God, the universe, the divine. And most often people that are in service roles have really had to put themselves through a lot of things on their own. So they might not have had the support of others. And so they really do everything on their own. And in the process, it shifts that connection to where it's like, I know that I can do this and I trust that things are going to work out, but I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do over here, instead of it being a reciprocal energy and an understanding that, yes, you need to show up and do your part. And you're also supported in doing that. So we work to rebuild both whenever we're reconnecting with our intuition. And that's what kind of bridges that gap and misunderstanding, so that you can trust your gut instinct and be like, man, my nervous system feels amazing because I'm not stressing. I just know it's going to work out.
I would also love to hear about, I think there's a lot of people going through transitions in their lives. A lot of people in medicine going through transition. Medicine's gone through so many transitions. Maybe they don't even have awareness of it yet. I'm wondering, what are some signs that someone's going through a transition, and how might they be able to move through transitions with more clarity?
Yeah, so transitions often look like discomfort in the beginning. And transitions, we often confuse it with big life changes. So as if, you know, you need to completely dissolve your practice, right? If I'm not happy right now, I need to change things in a big way. And when it's really about finding the root cause of what's causing you to feel this misalignment. This can this can look like these different symptoms of burnout and feeling disconnected, not feeling joyful when you show up for your position, really kind of just going through the motions. And I think what happens is that we are designed to evolve anyway. So we're designed for growth. We're designed to learn new things. We're designed to continue to expand in these different ways. And sometimes we get so used to doing the same thing that we forget to do this. And so, what can feel like we're needing to completely transition is really just a growth experience, like a need for growth. Now, we are experiencing a lot of transition and a lot of transition really rapidly. And so there are two different sets to this. And when you're faced with transition, it's that moment of knowing what is it that you truly desire next. And you don't always have to have that full map. It's just about knowing that you do need a shift, starting there. Because I see this often in my practice is that we can't quite see the vision. And so we never take a step forward. And there's many reasons behind that. It's the unknown. It doesn't make sense yet. And it is about sitting with yourself, kind of clearing out the noise and saying, okay, I'm starting to recognize that I'm feeling this way. And what do I feel I need to do about it? And it doesn't mean, again, like you need your whole life changed. I was working with a chiropractor who came in. He originally wanted to completely restart his practice. He's like, I don't like this or this. And what it came down to is he needed to work on a relationship within his life. We worked on that relationship, and it happened to be someone he worked with. And in doing that, he recognized and saw the other things going on in the practice. So he was like, wow, I actually really love being here. I just needed to work on this one thing. And so it can be things as simple as that. But if we are not even trying to work through any of it, it's really hard to know what the next step is or have clarity because you're just so, you've pushed it down so long that you can't even begin to see another opportunity.
This is so neat, and thank you for all your words. I'm here in my brain projecting too as I'm going through a big transition career-wise, and it has been, like you're saying, several years in the making of making shifts that felt good, that kind of grounded me, that got me connected back into what's important to me, and then how that allowed me to see other possibilities and then really get more of that clarity that you're talking about of like, oh wait, what else would I like to do? And with, like you're with a little bit of that discomfort that you're talking about, or a lot of that discomfort and some fear as well, to be like, no, this is time, I'm ready. And going through it right now. And so, right, like, thank you. I mean, literally in the middle of it.
All I was going to say is sometimes it takes the breakdown, not necessarily for the breakthrough, right? Like, yes, there will be breakthrough, but things fall apart for purpose. So whether it's to fall apart completely, to be transitioned, or to fall apart for more awakening, more clarity. And if we resist it, you will know because you are so uncomfortable. Like when it's no longer for you, it will be like almost like you dread thinking about this thing. And so it's being able to recognize within our body when we're starting to feel that resistance and start the discovery part. Because again, sometimes it's a minor shift that we need to make, and sometimes it is a complete transition into the next project, the next career, the next relationship. And so it is about that internal awareness to pay attention to the body, because the body will tell us everything we need to know way before we even have a thought.
And I'm just going to share right now that some of our listeners may not have a deep understanding about some of the work that you do, Candice. And I have only experienced Reiki a few times in my life. I'd heard about it for a while. I don't think it's a standard thing, even, just like coaching. Not everybody knows about coaching and medicine. I don't think many people have a deep understanding about Reiki. So would you mind just sharing with our listener a little bit about the energy work that you do and maybe some of the outcomes that might be surprising?
Yeah, so with energy work, it is all about intention. While I learned under Reiki, and Reiki is basically it's life force energy. That's what the word broken down means. And so we can think about it as we are all connected in this energy field. And so let me back up and say, we are always aligned in some form. And a friend of mine had said this. She's like, we're always aligned somehow. It's what are you aligned to? And so when we're resonating at a certain frequency, so a certain energy, we feel a certain way, our body responds a certain way. We end up meeting people that are pretty much resonating at the same energy. So it becomes this way of living. So everything in life has energy. Our food has energy. We have light that has energy, like electricity that has energy. And so from a science perspective, it is about recognizing that everything around you is vibrating at some kind of frequency. And so when we go through life experiences, we create an emotion, and an emotion stores within the body unless we express it. Now, this can be through vocalizing, this can be through creative expression, whether it's the arts, writing, journaling, and or drama. Like people really have grown to like improv as a way of healing. And so with energy work in specific, what I do as a practitioner is I check in to see what is going on in the body first. Are there different ailments? Are there different parts of the body that are holding more tension? And for me, I will sometimes feel like a tightening in my chest if someone is going through really not loving themselves or feeling disconnected, because the heart space is our conscious connection. So how we love ourselves, how we love others. A lot of the clients that I see come in with very foundational needs. So I work with the chakra system. So it is just a way to read your energy is how I can just very simply say. And each one resonates for a certain purpose. They all come together and create you. And so when our foundations are off, you can have issues within the lower body, within the organs of the systems, anything that is very foundational in its essence. So your blood, your bones. And so when you're starting to see these pains, that's where you can recognize, hey, I might have something I'm holding on to without going too deep. And in my practice, you treat it basically like a meditation. And I go in there and kind of let you know, I'm telling you where your energy is. And then we go through and we try to clear out any old cycles, any experiences that are truly holding on to your body. And we do this first portion through a lot of talk. So I'm asking different questions, trying to find the different connections and cycles, because most often these are experiences that happened in early childhood or adolescence, and then they've compounded over time and they represent themselves in your life in different ways. So whether that's your career relationships, your partner relationships, it all is connected in where your energy is. Essentially, again, the whole point of energy work is to help bring the body back into rest and digest, so that we're not operating at this frequency of survival, which many clients come in and they are either burnt out, they're in a transition, they don't know what way to go. And so we work to bring that alignment back into the body so that they can make decisions. And again, if you haven't taken a break in a long time, it shows up in our body in so many ways. Some of the results. So, wow, I've seen so many different things, but a lot of what I have noticed is that people have been able to really see themselves for the first time. So whether this is recognizing where the pain has started and where the root cause of where they might have disbelief, or where they have a disconnection with a family member, or why they're physically ill. I work with several clients who have chronic illness, and so their body is physically hurting. And so if I can bring a little bit more ease into the body, then they are able to be more active within their day, or feel as if they can have that vibrancy back. And so I've seen so many different results. Typically, I do work with people who are very brand new to the practice. And so I try to walk you through it so gently, because it's a thing, right? It's a new, and we're kind of coming into more understanding about it. But if I can guide you in this subtle way of understanding what it is and how it's going to support you, then I've done my job.
And for people who, if our listener is a little more shy of things that we might do, I'm doing air quotes, woo woo. One of the things I learned working in child abuse medicine for 10 years, when I was pretty oblivious coming into it about energy, and we really had to park our energy at the door, because we had to be fully present for families that were coming in crisis. There was no room for our own crises that had happened with our own kids that morning or whatever else was going on. And I realized in hindsight, I remember thinking about my former practice when I did, procedures, and the nurse would need to check in 10 minutes, to make sure there's no bleeding before the patient went home. And I would scurry around the office going a million miles an hour, and I'd throw a piece of paper on the nurse's desk, and she's all, like, oh my gosh, what does Dr. Hurley need? What does she need? And there was so much intense energy. And then it says on the little sheet that I put in front of her, this patient needs to be checked in 15 minutes. And in hindsight, now I realize how my energy negatively affected everyone it was encountering, because I had no awareness of my energy. When I was running late and I was flying into the office and I wouldn't make eye contact and I wouldn't say hello to the front desk staff, and had no idea, because I was just so busy, how that was impacting my energy between me and the front desk staff. And so for me, I was so grateful that I got some feedback about that. And it wasn't until I really started understanding more how our energy is like this field around us, and this ripple effect that goes out around us and is contagious. A good mood affects people in a mile radius, I learned from, I think, Sean Agor with the Happiness Advantage book. So we have an impact. And when we can be aware of our energy and be intentional about our energy, we can shift so many circumstances. And what I love about the energy work that you and I did a couple of days ago is that even though, we're, not in proximity to each other, I could sense a change in my energy and shifts in my energy based on your intentions and how you are helping me better understand the work that you do, which was so powerful. So just want to encourage our listener to have an open mind as we talk about some of these things that might seem different, and encourage that curiosity to learn more. I wonder what could happen if I pay more attention to my energy.
I love that. And one thing I want to say is that we heal in everyday conversations. And, you don't have to practice energy work to see the benefits. As if we can learn how to ground our energy, meaning be outside for just a few minutes, and there's scientific benefits to it. It's been proven. That's why there's all these blankets now. So we have the science and the research to back all of this, which is really exciting. And just slowing down for even 5 minutes will carry into your conversation. There's Laurie Santos, Dr. Laurie Santos, she's out of Harvard, and she created a course all about happiness. And she talks about how one act of kindness can actually stay energetically within our body for up to 6 months. They can measure it. And that's just one. And like, of course, it dips up and down, it's most prevalent in the first month. But I mean, think about that alone. When we're seeing the way that the world can be sometimes, like if we were just more intentional for just one thing, we would see a huge shift in our collective energy as a whole.
That goes back to our interview with Dr. Todd Otten, episode 113, where we talk about ripples of change and that ripple effect. You throw a pond in the water, and or a pebble in a pond, and the ripple that goes outward is so powerful. And to think one act of kindness can have lasting effects for 6 months. Wow.
I love her work. I listen to her. It's like, this is a little bit more personal, but in being a physician, right, like there's so many cool things in medicine, right? Like so many new advances and so many things that many specialists can do, like that are so literal. It's like you come in, right, like with a heart attack, and they go in with the wire and they put it in, they take the blockage out, and they're done, right? And then you see in literally on a screen, you see the artery that's blocked, and then you see it open in this beautiful flow. Or if you come in with a broken leg, right, that they could come in and operate you. As a psychiatrist, it's very different, because all I have is, well, I mean, there's other things I have, of course, like there's medications, and can't minimize the effect of that. But I teach my medical students, half of what I do is my presence, is my energy, is holding the space for my patient, is listening, is reading their energy, so that then I know how to shift mine so it can help them. And the medical students look at me like, what?
Mhm.
I'm like, no, you have to, it doesn't matter what specialty you're in. Like I always tell them, I want to teach you things that you cannot read in a book. And how you show up is, and I love, right, like the word that you use, it is healing. And we heal in community, we heal in connection, we heal in conversation. So thanks for validating also what I do.
Yeah, well, what's really amazing is, as practitioners, we can set the energetic space of a room. And that makes all of the difference for not only you, and I mean, there's different elements that you can think about, whether it's the artwork that you have, the colors, all of that goes into play, but set the intention before you even walk in the space to have this be a supportive space for those that you're caring for. Especially in the medical field, I've worked with two newborn babies. So both of the mothers had reached out to me. They were in the ICU. And when I was doing the healing work, what I did was I not only supported the child, I supported the parents, then the space of the room, then the doctors, the nurses, those caring for this child. And now this one's like 3 months old and thriving. And it was a really cool experience because I don't do it all the time. Let me just say that. But it was really amazing because the energy shift that happened, the mother reported back that the nurses felt it. And she was like, wow, they felt more calm whenever they came into the room. And the mom felt it. And so it was a really amazing experience that I share because, again, it's the intention behind. Energy is all about intention. And so if you think it, it can happen. And yeah, it's a lot. There's so much you can do with energy. It's not only just the body, it's the spaces that we're into.
I love that. And I wanted to shift here because it's in kind of studying what researching what you're doing and following you, and right, and we've met in person. And the other work that you do is in identity as well, which I love that identity work in through coaching as well. It's like, again, a good segue, and it can be so powerful. And I wanted to ask you, for people who feel lost or disconnected, right? Like we talked about that a lot in the last episodes. How do you help them come back to themselves and even explore the question of, who am I now?
Yeah, yeah. I learned so much from my own personal journey, right? I think that that's why we do all the things in life that we do. And when I was in my own personal moment of really searching for who I was, I just realized like my whole identity was shaped around the labels that I had instead of the who am I. And to someone that's in that moment of just, and I feel like we go through this probably in our 30s more so. I mean, maybe it's happening earlier now, but I know for me, I was in my 30s. And, we start to question things. And the way in which we get to who we are, at the essence of who we are, is by really sitting within and being able to look at all the things that we've gone through and experienced, and ask yourself those questions. Am I creating an identity around this? Even down to being a mother, it's really easy to be a mother, a father, a doctor, and your whole identity is wrapped around this image, right? But that doesn't truly define who you are or what it is that you desire out of life. It's just an aspect of your life, which is there's no good or bad here. There's no shame if your identity has been that, because it's what I think we almost have to take that on in order to show up and do the work that we're doing for the moment. And then once we get to a certain place, our inner world recognizes that we need more for us. And so that's why it comes forward, is to be explored and expanded upon. So I want to offer that, like, try not to shame yourself if, you're feeling that. It's there, the nudge to discover yourself is there for that higher purpose. And so it looks like, again, being in that moment of stillness and being able to really sift through those layers and just figure out what is it that you enjoy out of life. And when you're showing up in the world, most often we were shut down pretty early in life for most of our life. We were very conditioned into what we needed to be and how we needed to show up. And so it is about really deconstructing those layers of understanding and saying, okay, yes, I can be super successful in my practice and do it because I enjoy doing it, not because I was told I needed to do it. And it's those little shifts that take away the pressure of it being a part of your identity and allow it to just be a part of you.
Candice, you might know our podcast name is Create Meaning in Medicine. And I wonder, from your perspective, what are you doing to create more meaning in the healing spaces?
Yeah, in the healing spaces, it's really about being able to help give permission to people to slow down and to simplify these practices. I see so many people who are in the service, like in and of service to others. And so it is about coming back to that inner knowing of the self, but then also giving yourself the time to rest and understand. Being able to kind of demystify the whole healing process. That's one of my biggest things that I say often is, we really overcomplicate what energy work is. And there are so many beautiful traditions and rituals, and we do need those. But at the end of the day, we can really do so much for ourselves, for our families, for our communities by simplifying these things. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is kind of shake things up to be a little bit more practical in my practice so that people will come to the practice itself and really discover it for themselves.
This has been so informative. Like, I am, so excited right now. Like, I want to keep on hearing more. Would love to experience what you're doing as well. And thank you for reminding us the importance of stillness, to calm our central nervous system down, to get grounded, to get back into our intuition and all the things that we can do. And like Erin was saying, it's easy for a lot of physicians to just say, like, oh, that's woo-woo, right? Or like, oh, there's no scientific data behind it. And like you mentioned, yes, there's plenty now. So it's great to hear that, and how important it is to really have like a toolbox. And this is such an important aspect of our overall well-being. So thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for bringing all this information and helping during difficult times like transitions or rediscovering our identity. And it's I love that our paths have crossed several times and that we're here today with you. Thank you so much. And I wanted to ask you, if our audience wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, so I am very active on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram. I always joke and say LinkedIn is my very much community-based energy. I love connecting with people there. And Instagram is where you can kind of peer into my life and stalk me. But both of those places are easy. LinkedIn, it's my first and last name, obviously. And then I'll share my handle with you guys for Instagram.
And we'll make sure that we'll add it to the show notes. I love that when I open Instagram, if you've posted something, it shows up. So I get to see you. So I love it. I always listen. And thank you again so much. And we hope that this was very helpful for everyone. And please stay tuned because our next episode is coming right up.
Do you want exclusive resources and the opportunity to connect with us? Then visit createmeaninginmedicine.com now, where you'll dive deeper into how you can create meaning in medicine. And if you're serious about optimizing your results, take 2 quick steps now. Connect with us on the website and tune in to the next episode.